Did hackers breach India's largest nuclear power plant? Bigger questions. What did they take? How did they breach? And most importantly, why India is not able to protect its digital as well as critical infrastructure. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand in detail that how this data leak happened in Kudankulam plant, what is the reason behind it and how this has happened. So let us begin with understanding that what exactly was highlighted initially. So initially it was shown that the files relating to basically data related to Kudankulam nuclear power plant has been breached and taken away and it has been exposed. Apart from that, then NPCIL came into the picture and said the core system remains untouched. It has been only a surface level data theft that has happened. Now when we are looking at this situation, the first thing in front of us is to understand that what exactly unfolded. So this was basically a ransomware group which is called World Leaks, and they were responsible for this leak. Now what went out was 19,000 files about India's largest nuclear power plant, and this is not something that we need validation for. These files are available on the dark web. And this is where our cyber security comes into a questionable position. However, NPCIL went ahead and did clarify that no nuclear reactor system or any safety infrastructure has been compromised, but this breach itself shows the vulnerability and also the risk of closeness to the disaster we are lying at. So the first thing that needs to be understood is what exactly leaked. That will tell us the level of damage. What we are looking at, that numerous files have gone out, but what did these files contain? These files had engineering drawings of the cooling and ventilation system, the layout plans, meeting minutes of Indian and Russian engineers, the vendor information, and also insurance related documents. Now, the problem starts here is, even though this information might seem surface level, there were multiple documents which shows that third-party data center provider is the place where this leak happened. Now, all of this is out in the public on the dark web, available everybody for to read. Apart from that, the things that have not been leaked are reactor operating software, nuclear control system, reactor safety architecture, and this has been clarified by NPCIL. Now the second question and the biggest question at all, that how exactly did this happen? What is the attack that has been carried out? So when we look at the attack, the first thing that we need to understand here is supply chain. Because this was not a direct attack, rather this was an attack on the supply chain itself. So let's just say there is a big company and multiple suppliers are present, supplier 1, supplier 2, supplier 3. And when we are looking at a company or as a procurement team of something as big as a nuclear plant, the direct attack of a ransomware is quite impossible. So what ransomware does? Ransomware attacks this supplier. And because these are connected, if at all this works out, then the theft, the breach is possible on the main unit as well, the procurement team as well. So the attack path here was not a direct one, not on the nuclear plant directly, rather it was targeted through the supply chain. Now in this, what did we see? That the Reliance infrastructure had received an EPC contract in 2018. And some of this project data was hosted on servers such as operated by Yotta. Now this is where back in May itself, suspicious ransomware activities were happening, and utilizing the weakness in the supply chain, the vulnerable points in vendors and everywhere, this is what has finally materialized out. Now that we know that how it happened, what has leaked and what has not, the question here is how much damage we are looking at as of now. So as I say, after the NPCIL's confirmation, we clearly know that the leaked information is only about balance of plant facilities. So when we are talking about balance of plant, we need to understand that what is included in this. It basically refers to the conventional infrastructure. Conventional infrastructure, water infrastructure, we are talking about the supply system, the cooling support system, ventilation, the electrical system, and just to make you understand, the non-nuclear support services. So these are not related to the core system and they are referred to together as a framework, that is balance of plant. So the information that has affected is towards the non-nuclear systems, not the nuclear system as of now. And this term here, right here, becomes of great importance from the perspective of exam. Now the question here is how reactors have been saved. So the reactor control system, they operate on isolated network. They are not connected to vendors, suppliers, they are not hosted on separate servers, and this network being isolated saved it from being attacked. They are not connected to any public internet, and when we are talking about Kudankulam plant, which is designed, which is being facilitated by Russia, they have Russian designed VVER 1000 pressurized water reactor, and that remains unaffected as of now. So this incident comes as yet again a lesson that our digital infrastructure and critical infrastructure is vulnerable, and there have been earlier incidents on the same nuclear plant itself where there was a cyber intrusion where a D-track malware was used, and back then it was only administrative computer which was affected, but the reactor where we use air gapping, it is isolated networking which was saved. But the question is for how long? And it shows that how critical infrastructure remains the target of cyber attacks. Because when we are looking at forms of terrorism, this is a new form. This is cyber terrorism. If anybody wants leverage, they can use the critical infrastructure of that nation to target. And these are the ways we see the targets happening. And there have been multiple incidents across years, be it on flights, be it in telecom industry, be it on nuclear plants, oil and energy, and more. So the question here is why this is not being solved. If we know this is important, this is critical, why this is not being solved? This is not being solved because the infrastructure is such. There is presence of third-party contractors, cloud infrastructure, vendor cyber security standards are subpar. I explained you the supply chain. Now when we are talking about suppliers and vendors, if they are not following the security standards, then that leaves the infrastructure vulnerable. And another factor here is that data governance for strategic projects is something that is still a working line for India. So even though the investigation continues on the present incident, we need to ensure in coming time that we have stronger cyber security audit for contractors, zero trust security architecture, especially for when we are looking critical infrastructure, regular penetration testing so as to ensure that such emergency shock, we are prepared for a response, and most importantly from this, better supply chain cyber security compliance. Now what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. I'll be waiting for your answers. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.